The title is a bit extreme, but what's interesting about this is that there is some truth to it. You've worked hard for a number of years, all those work-related stressors are gone, that defined structure to your day is gone, and the effort of trying to fit in multiple tasks throughout the day is also now gone. So what does the research say in terms of the impact that this change has on your health and life expectancy, given that retirement is ranked 10th on the list of life's most stressful events? So this is a pretty complex area, as it will impact on all of us slightly differently, but generally speaking there will likely be some kind of significant shift. Loss of work-related stress surely has to be a benefit to your health, but losing that daily structure and the working relationships that you had in place is a bit harder to quantify. So let's first of all see whether retirement is associated with physical improvements. Now, a recent study by the Harvard School of Public Health investigated the association between the move to retirement and the risk of stroke and heart attack. They followed participants aged 50 and over who were in the paid workforce and free of major cardiovascular disease up to 10 years until they retired. And after adjusting for a wide range of factors, age, sex, socio-economic status, behaviour, the researchers found that retirees were 40% more likely to have had a heart attack or stroke than those who were still working at the same age, which seems counter to what we would arguably expect. And further to this, the outcome of a large UK study showed almost twice the number of retired individuals compared to those still employed at the same age suffered chronic conditions such as diabetes, stroke, or cancer. Women retirees had higher risk than the overall sample of being diagnosed with cancer. Male retirees, on the other hand, were more at risk than the overall sample for heart attack, stroke, and psychiatric problems. So what's happening here is both studies are removing those that had poor health prior to retirement. There must be some other factors at play here that are associated with retirement that do lead to worsening health. But let's just be positive for a moment here, as on the flip side, not all research shows detrimental effects of retirement. Consistent with a number of studies, one recent study across 12 Western European countries showed that retirement can lead to improvements in self-reported health across educational levels and for men and women alike. Equally positive are findings from recent German research. The research concluded that retiring from work is good for your health, chiefly due to the benefits of more exercise, less stress, and greater sleep enjoyed by people who stop working. In retirement, people are more likely to rate their health as satisfactory. Mental health improves even after allowing for age-related medical problems and for those retired early due to ill health. The author estimated that the number of doctor visits reduced by 25% for retirees compared to non-retirees of the same age. Nevertheless, as both the proportion of older people in communities and the length of the life increases throughout the world, key questions do arise. Will population aging be accompanied by a longer period of good health, a sustained sense of well-being, and extended periods of social engagement and productivity? Or will it be associated with more illness, disability, and dependency? One area that could well be significant is the experience of loneliness and social isolation. There is strong evidence that social isolation and loneliness heighten the risk of premature mortality, and that the risk exceeds that of many key ill health indicators. Researchers have actually shown that loneliness can be a bigger killer than obesity and should be considered a major public health issue. A review of 218 studies into the health effects of social isolation and loneliness found that lonely people have a 50% higher chance of premature death, while obesity increases the chance of early death by 30%. The team found that the risk of early death associated with loneliness and social isolation and living alone was equal to or greater than the premature death risk associated not only with obesity but with other major health conditions. Another factor relates to lifestyle changes post-retirement. Some people improve their nutrition and exercise regimes, others do not. For example, in a large study of Australian women in 2016, retirement status had positive effects on women's self-reported health, physical and mental health outcomes. These positive effects were linked to increased physical activity post-retirement and reduced smoking. On the other hand, a Finnish study demonstrated that while women tended to improve their dietary habits when they retired, this was not the case for retired men. And a long-term study of British civil servants reinforces the need for care in concluding that retirement affects health either positively or negatively. On-time retirement and voluntary early retirement were both related to better physical functioning and mental health when retirees were compared to those who remained in the workforce. The research essentially suggests that there might be a causal relationship between voluntary retirement and positive health outcomes, which largely makes sense. However, we need here to consider the possibility of including selection bias. For example, those who choose early retirement may do so either because their health is compromised or because they are healthy and want to enjoy retirement activities while still fit enough to do so. What seemingly has been the case in other research is that adverse health effects are mitigated if the individual is married and has social support, continues to engage in physical activity post-retirement, or continues to work part-time upon their retirement. There's also some evidence that the adverse health effects are larger in the event of involuntary retirement, a finding consistent with other studies. Some studies have similarly shown that early retirement has negative consequences for post-retirement physical and emotional health and cognitive functioning. Although in respect of the last, there is a recent evidence that work that requires higher mental demands is protective against cognitive decline in retirement, independent of education level and socio-economic status. At least one study has shown that people who retired at age 55 had almost twice the risk of death compared to people who retired at age 60. The link between early retirement and early death was greater for men than women. Men who retired at age 55 had an 80% greater increased risk than women who retired at 55. There are many challenges with estimating the impact of retirement on health apart from the confounding of retirement with aging, the difficulty in establishing clear links between physical health and retirement suggests it may prove more productive to examine possibly the psychological health. And when we're talking about psychological well-being, we're really referring to the extent to which an individual experiences life in a positive way, although few researchers have measured pre- and post-retirement psychological adjustment specifically. Most really rely on life satisfaction studies or satisfaction within retirement. So what of depression in retirement? There is convincing evidence that depression is associated with early retirement, and depressed individuals retire at a significantly younger age than those without depression. Post-retirement depression has also been documented, but less convincingly. For example, while an Institute of Economic Affairs report showed being retired increased risk of clinical depression by 40%, not all studies have demonstrated such a strong effect, and some none at all. There's clearly more research needed here to tease out the effects of pre-retirement psychological health, retirement socialization, aging, and lifestyle effect factors on depression. Psychological well-being and adjustment are greatly dependent on all the resources that individuals bring to the retirement transition. These resources can be personal, material, or social, and are drawn on to help individuals manage stressful or difficult situations. While many retirees have little or no difficulty negotiating retirement, some appear not to have the resources to refashion their lives. For example, in one study, the word boring occurred frequently as individuals complained about the emptiness of their retirement lives. Another concern for retirees who have spent many years in the workforce with tasks clearly prescribed is the lack of structure to their day. Additionally, for those whose sense of self is tied to their work identity, retirement can be a bit of a daunting prospect. The lack of challenges and excitement that daily work brought to their lives is reflected in loss of self-esteem and possibly a sense of contributing to society. While these issues affect some, but by no means the majority of retirees, the loss of financial resources is a major concern for many. Finances can affect many aspects of life satisfaction, for example, through limiting access to secure housing and possibly adequate healthcare, and reducing opportunities to engage in new roles and activities because of their costs. Since 2010, a number of reviews addressing the determinants of adjustment to life during retirement have been published, reflecting the growing interest in this field. A recent thorough review of predictors of adjustment to retirement identified 4 groups of predictors. The most commonly reported predictors included physical health, finances, psychological health and personality-related attributes, leisure, voluntary retirement, and social integration. There was a group of non- or negative predictors of retirement adjustment that included age, sex, household composition, and timing of retirement. Actively planning for retirement and retirement at time of their own choosing are both positively related to retirees' psychological well-being. People who retire earlier than planned are more likely to experience a decreased psychological well-being entering retirement. And then the consequences of poor psychological well-being can be associated with retirees engaging in replacement activities that could potentially be problematic for their physical and mental health. Now, 2 of the most common behaviors are substance abuse, both alcohol and drugs, and problem gambling. Now, gambling is an interesting one, with the growth of casinos and slot machines catering to seniors suggests there might be a bit of a problem. To cater to this specific population, some casinos even supply wheelchairs and oxygen tanks. In fact, gambling, like alcohol consumption, exists along a continuum of involvement from not gambling at all to social gambling to problem gambling. And although more men than women gamble, women's progression to problematic gambling appears to be much quicker than it is for men. So how can a good health be maintained in retirement? Physical activity, a balanced diet, and sustaining a healthy weight are key factors in maintaining and enhancing good health, together with moderation in alcohol intake and ideally being a non-smoker. Retirement provides the opportunity to engage in physical activity that may have been limited by the demands of full-time work, and the positive link between retirement health and physical activity has been well documented. In contrast, results from another large-scale nationally representative cohort in the UK showed for most age group, men were more likely than women to participate in regular physical activity, walking, swimming, or playing sport on a weekly basis. As we age, the role of nutrition becomes even more important, but I couldn't locate any research examining the specific links between good nutrition and retirement, but it's pretty reasonable to assume that the importance of a good diet among retirees. There are many health benefits of a healthy diet and proper nutrition, apart from weight loss. These include resistance to illness and disease, higher energy levels, increased mental sharpness. Good diet allows your body to simply function better. And a recent English survey showed a multi-year trend towards increasing levels of obesity, with a quarter of all adults obese now compared to around 15% in 1993, with the increase slightly quicker for men than women. The obesity pandemic has profound public health effects because obesity increases the likelihood of diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, and some kinds of cancer. More than 3 in every 10 people aged 55 to 64 and just heading into retirement were classed as obese. So how do we ensure good health in retirement? Sometimes retirement is a necessary outcome of poor health, or the unexpected happens after we retire when we become ill in spite of all our efforts to remain healthy. Aging itself is undeniably a health hazard, but as we've seen, there are some fundamental lifestyle choices that will boost chances of a healthy retirement, both physically and mentally. It's important that pre-retirement plans include thinking about a healthy retirement lifestyle. Better still, start the process before retiring. Stay active and involved, whether it's organized sports or activities, or taking long walks. It's important to keep moving. Regular medical checks, especially for age-related diseases, as well as dental and hearing checks, especially given the importance of the last for communication. Maintain a healthy diet, following dietary recommendations about daily intake. Exercise every day to build strength, flexibility, cardiovascular health, and balance. If you can't or don't want to engage in sports or exercise activities, there are other options that may fit the lifestyle better. Retirement can increase time invested in repairs, gardening, and other household activities. These require physical effort and can therefore be expected to enhance health by providing physical activity over and above the increase in sports and exercise. And as the research has shown, we need to exercise our brains too. Crosswords, puzzles, and learning new things are some of the activities that help you to maintain your level of cognitive functioning. Importantly, maintain social connections. Try to banish loneliness. Your relationships with people can help you live longer. Nurture your relationships and family ties. Apologies for the length of this video. There's just so much research, and I thought it was really interesting. Well done on making it to the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching, and see you again soon. Bye.